Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like we've got Mardu Aggro versus White Weenie? Mono White Artifacts? Or, equipment? I guess, with, SRAM letting you draw a card, Stonehaven Outfitter, helps, is kind of an equipment lord, if you will. Cathar's Shield is free to play. Sigarda's Aid. You may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to a creature. So, free equip on the first time. Stitcher's Graft is really good in this situation since, thanks to the Cathar's Shield, his creature has vigilance, so he never has to worry about, him being tapped and not untapping. So, right now, oh, he concedes. I was going to say, right now, he's got a 6/12 vigilance. That is ridiculous. But the Mardu player had Depala, Scrap Heap Scrounger. He lost a Veteran Motorist to the last block, and he decides to concede. He only had, he had 2 cards in hand, so White Weenie had a card advantage. He had a obvious board advantage. But, this is kind of an odd deck. I don't know if it's going to, break into, the top tier standard or not, but it's an interesting idea. So let's see what happens in game 2, because I am intrigued by this deck. Okay, first turn Toolcraft Exemplar from Mardu. Other side, first turn Skeleton Key. 1 drop, equipped creature has Skulk. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Equip for 2. It's not great, but, when you have Sigarda's Aid so that you can equip it for free for the first time, it's not bad. Throbbing Inspector makes a clue token, which allows the Exemplar to buff itself up to a 3/2. Gets in for 3. And so far, Mardu is doing a pretty good job of coming out swinging. Based on what we saw in the last game from the White Weenie side, we only saw 2 creatures from him. SRAM, who's a legend, so he can only have 1 of in play, and then Stonehaven Outfitter. Weldfast Monitor. It's an interesting choice. It's not a bad card. It's a 3-drop artifact, 3/2. 1 red gives it Menace, and a 3/2 Menace for 3 mana is really good. So, gets in for 3 more with the Exemplar. And it's starting to look like White Weenie is mana screwed. Toolcraft Exemplar of his own. And Stitcher's Graft. Graft is equipped for 2. Cathar's Shield. Tapping 3 artifacts. Okay. Passing the turn. I wonder which card that he was trying to play. Another Toolcraft Exemplar from Mardu. And he's going in with 2 3/2s. And again, no blocks. It's, I was going to say, it's probably because White Weenie is at a stage where he's basically, if this next card isn't good enough, I'm going to be dead anyway, so it doesn't matter if I take the 6 right now. And he drew his card and conceded. Now, he was mana screwed, but at the same time, we still haven't seen a whole lot of his deck, so I don't know what his mana curve is, but it looks like it's fairly small, so being mana screwed shouldn't affect him too much except for the equip costs. You know, it looks like the equip costs are the most expensive things in his deck so far. But one problem that I'm seeing right now is the fact that, you know, as a mono white deck, you are limiting yourself in a format where pretty much every deck that you would face in a standard tournament is going to be multicolored, which means that they have more options than you. First turn, Sigarda's Aid. Now that's probably his best turn 1 play, given what we've seen of his deck. Mardu throws down Toolcraft Exemplar. Expedition Envoy. Okay, so it does look like all of his creatures are probably real cheap. And the whole goal is, you know, the whole Voltron idea of throwing a bunch of equipment onto a creature, making it gigantic, and then attacking with it, hoping that your opponent can't kill it. Okay, Fragmentize on Sigarda's Aid. In response, Skeleton Key. And Mardu plays this before he even plays a land, so I'm curious whether or not he's mana screwed. Okay, he had another land. Unfortunately, it looks like he doesn't have anything else he can play. But he's still going to attack in here because why not? If your opponent decides to block, you know, that's his misplay to make. And in that situation, you know, being able to kill your opponent's creature when it's the only thing that he's got would have been good. Now, he could have held back the Toolcraft Exemplar because as a Skulk creature, the 1/1 would have been able to block and kill the Envoy and then not let him draw the card because of the key. And honestly, in, you know, monocolored aggro decks, the more cards they draw, the worse it is for you. You want to limit them to as few cards as physically possible. And right there, let him draw an extra card, threw away a land that he most likely will not need. And there's a Throbbing Inspector, which will let the Toolcraft Exemplar buff up and attack in. Now, Stasis Snare in response. Gets rid of the Toolcraft Exemplar. But, like I was saying, you know, for the last turn, now he has a 1/2 that he can block with and kill Expedition Envoy. Captain's Claws. Now, Claws isn't really all that helpful right now because it doesn't give him any more toughness. It means that Throbbing Inspector can chump block Expedition Envoy, they'll both die, and it'll mean that all of these equipment will be unequipped, and he'll have to pay for them again. He did get the Core Ally token from the Captain's Clause, so theoretically he could pay 3 mana and equip all of that to the Core Ally. But then he's in the exact same position as he was the last time. So, he popped the Clue token, plays Veteran Motorist, which in this situation is very powerful. You know, that Scry 2 ability lets him, who, you know, at the moment has a massive card advantage over his opponent, look at the top 2 and decide, you know, I want this card or I don't want this card. And he wanted one, didn't want the other, whereas his opponent is stuck. He gets what he gets, and he has to put up with it. And a Throbbing Inspector, which is a very good play, just like the last time. Even if he equips the ally token with everything, he can just block with the Throbbing Inspector and trade, and then force him to pay to equip again. So Captain's Clause on the Core Ally token puts it up to a 2/1. And he chooses not to attack here. He's hoping that if Mardu attacks in with the Veteran Motorist, he can block with the Core Ally token instead of having to use SRAM to do it, because he'd rather just take the 1 damage from the Throbbing Inspector and then trade for the Veteran Motorist, because the Motorist is the biggest threat. I mean, granted, he has 19 life, so he could just take the 4 damage, but Motorist has more value than just the 3 power. Ooh, built to last. +2/+2. So keeps the Motorist alive and gets through for damage. Sigarda's Aid. Response from Mardu. Shock to kill off Sram before he can do anything. And no response. And that's pretty much game for White Weenie here. He's got 1 card. Mardu's only got 1 card, but he can pop the clue token to go up to 2. Draw his card, he's up to 3. And Toolcraft Exemplar. He doesn't have an artifact, but he doesn't really need one right now. He's getting to attack in for 4 for free. And a pass from White Weenie. And he concedes. And unfortunately for White Weenie, that is just something that you have to get used to as a monocolored aggro deck. That kind of thing happens. You run low on cards and you die. It's just the way it is. It's always been that way in Magic. If you're running a monocolored aggro deck, when you run low on cards and your opponent doesn't, you're dead. So, interesting idea. I don't think that it's got what it needs to be able to break into the top tier standard, though. So I'm going to end the video there. That was Mardu Aggro versus White Weenie Equipment. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will see you in the next video.